Hello, everyone. Welcome to Build's Character. I am joined by Lauren Urban, our community manager at D&D Beyond, and this is where we show you how to build a character or really cool characters. And we're talking about two subclasses that are in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. They're both sorcerers. We are talking about the Aberrant Mind, and we're also talking about the Clockwork Soul. Is there anything that we should announce before we jump in? We will be taking questions from chat at the end of each time we talk about one of the subclasses. So.
We're also giving away a copy of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Watch in the chat for when that will happen. Mods will have information. Also, this is our last stream of 2020, and we're both sad and excited and exhausted.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes, happy everything. Happy 8th night of Hanukkah. Hugs made everybody.
Fantastic. And with that in mind, nothing says the holidays like an Aberrant Mind.
I was about to say, you got to transition for that. You got to transition for Hanukkah.
Yeah, I got it. 2020
sorcerers.
is at the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer.
This is why you're the professional, Todd. I appreciate that.
All right, so I'll go ahead and dive into this. This is actually one of my favorite sorcerers. I do like this quite a bit. We saw a lot of revisions to what was the Aberrant Mind. I think at one point it became the Psionic Soul in Unearthed Arcana. And kind of the feedback I got from all that was people really like, when I talked to Jeremy Crawford, people really like the gross body horror and the tentacles in the end. So the Aberrant Mind made a comeback. So first off, this is the type of sorcerer that you have a very specific beginning. An alien influence has wrapped its tendrils around your mind, giving you psionic power. You can now touch other minds with that power and alter the world around you by using it to control the magical energy of the multiverse. Will this power shine from you as a hopeful beacon to others, or will you be a source of absolute freaking terror to those who feel the stab of your mind and witness the strange manifestations of your might? As an Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, you decide how you acquired these powers. Were you born with them, or did an event later in life leave you shining with psionic awareness? Consult the Aberrant Mind Origins table for a possible origin of your power. You want to run us through some of these? And these are always great. I love it when they include these tables. I tend not to be random when I roll stuff, but I like these examples of like how you can flavor your character. I think this is great.
Yeah, I do the same thing with all of the tables. I love having the tables as sources of inspiration, especially if I'm creating a character that I don't have a set idea about. And so the bonds and the flaws and the ideals and all of this, and then this origin, it's great to just have something to read through. And then it is fun to just roll on it. You'd asked in the opening paragraphs, is this going to be a creepy sorcerer, or is this going to be a shining beacon of hope? Let's go through the D6 options and you tell me. Yeah. You were exposed to the far realm's warping influence. You're convinced that a tentacle is now growing on you, but no one else can see it. Creepy. A psychic wind from the astral plane carries psionic energy to you. When you use your powers, faint motes of light sparkle around you. All right,
that's fun. I like that.
That is fun. You once suffered the dominating powers of an aboleth, leaving a psychic splinter in your mind. Creepy. You were implanted with a mind flare tadpole. Yeah, you know what? Creepy. I'm not even going to finish that.
No, but no, I hear that. But the Ceramorphosis never completed. Say it 3 times fast. And now its psionic power is yours. When you use it, your flesh shines in a strange mucus.
And I'm sorry. Shining sounds great until you add mucus onto it. Anything you add mucus onto later immediately makes it creepy, even if it's something, mucus rainbow, creepy. As a child, you had an imaginary friend that looked like a flump or a strange platypus-like creature. One day it gifted you with psionic powers, which has ended up being not so imaginary. This is kind of fun and whimsy until your flump is covered in mucus. And finally, your nightmare whispers the truth to you. Your psionic powers are not your own. You draw from your parasitic twin. I mean, flumps are adorable. And anytime you can do anything associated with flumps, it's amazing. But let's be honest, of these 6 options that have been presented to you, and you can still come up with your own, it's creepy. You're being creepy. It's the
You're being creepy. You are being creepy. Having
Tashas
the nightmare friend is very Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
I'm like, which yeah, I mean, again, I love, but you know, that like, yeah, this. Oof.
You did earlier in the week, you were talking about the lurker in the deep, and specifically how can you make that subclass not creepy. I think we're going to run into this as well. How do you do the aberrant mind happy, fluffy, it's friendly,
I like the
shining
psychic
without
twins.
mucus?
And I like, you know, I would point people to is it The Arrival or Arrival? Not the one, not the old movie, but the new movie, where they are forced to communicate with these alien-like beings. And I think that's a great example of something that could be influenced and create someone into an aberrant mind, because I don't want to ruin the plot, but people are affected by these beings eventually in some ways, maybe. Whether it be knowledge or whatever. And so that's a happy version of the aberrant mind, I would say.
And that's still a creepy movie.
It's still creepy. It's a creepy movie.
It's a that's the one with the aliens behind. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Behind the glass.
Some of this was in the trailer. Yeah, and they're showing the smoke symbols, and they're trying to do all the translate. Yeah,
it is a fantastic film. I highly recommend it. There's also some interesting research that actually is behind it. Yeah. So let's dive into
spells.
Psionic spells. First level Aberrant Mind feature. You learn additional spells when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown in the Psionic spells table. Each of these spells counts as a sorcerer spell for you, but doesn't count against the number of sorcerer spells you know. Thank you. Whenever you gain a sorcerer level, you can replace one spell you gained from this feature with another spell of the same level. The new spell must be of divination or enchantment for the sorcerer, warlock, or wizard spell list. That's interesting. So what we got here is at first level you get Arms of Hadar, Tentacles. Makes a lot of sense. Typically a warlock thing, but you are the Aberrant Mind. You get Dissonant Whispers. Very creepy, very useful spell. And you got Mind Sliver, which again, this is a very effective psionic type spell that I highly recommend.
It's one of the few that are out there too.
It is, yeah, absolutely. This is you're getting 3 spells right out of the gate. So this sorcerer comes a bit front loaded, and that's nice. We've got Calm Emotions, makes sense. Detect Thoughts, again, you kind of are riding the waves of everyone's psionic energy. Hunger of Hadar makes a ton of sense. It's not my favorite control power of all time because it doesn't do any control necessarily, but Sending is also makes a lot of sense. You can psychically connect to your friends or your enemies. Everett's Black Tentacles is a must, and Summon Aberration. This is one of those new summoning spells from Tashas that scales and is, in my opinion, like a dramatic improvement on all summoning spells in general. And so that's really nice to get this. It's in chapter 3 of Tasha's. And then we have Rary's Telepathic Bond and Telekinesis. This all fits perfectly with this theme.
Yeah, definitely. And Rary's Telepathic Bond is just such a useful spell anywhere. So it's just a solid, good spell to have. I've got my players in the campaign that I run. The wizard now, basically in the morning, part of their ritual is they mind shield the barbarian and then they telepathic bond everybody, and it's gotten them out of a couple of jams, and also let them continue to have some fun RP when they're sneaking places, which is always fun to have that mental image of, you know, all of you trying to be quiet and sneaking while in your heads you're all just gabbing away.
And you get, again, it is always going to be creepy, but I think this is a really good subclass for the times right now. Like we just had one of the best video games I've probably played in the last 5 years is called Control. If you are a console player or a PC player, I really highly recommend that. It shows great examples of, you know, telekinetic and psychic powers, and it's a very mind-bending video game made by the same people that did Alan Wake. So it is in that kind of Lovecraftian genre, perhaps. I highly recommend that if you want kind of like a good beat on the Aberrant Mind. We've got something that's really great to have right out of the gate. It's telepathic speech. Tell me about that.
So you form a telepathic connection between your mind and the mind of another. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You and the chosen creature can speak telepathically with each other while the two of you are within a number of miles equal to your charisma modifier. To understand each other, you must speak mentally in a language the other knows, which is an interesting thing with telepathy, because most of the time when you get those telepathy moments, spells, or abilities, it usually lets you bypass the requirement of sharing a language. The telepathic connection lasts for a number of minutes equal to your sorcerer level. It ends early if you are incapacitated or die, or if you use this ability to form a connection with a different creature. So I am actually not happy with this. I'm going to say it.
You're not. I mean, it's miles.
It is.
Like you're looking, and you are charisma based caster, so we're talking like 3 to 4 miles.
Yes, but remember what the soul knife gets?
The soul knife gets something very, very powerful.
At third, so you got to wait till third level to get it.
Yeah.
However, the soul
knife... And you're
knife,
not a caster as a rogue, though.
True, but what the soul knife gets is a number of creatures equal to, I think, your proficiency bonus, not just one. You don't have to share a language. You can still do it for a number of miles, and it lasts for, I think it's an hour or so. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like it, but how come the rogue gets a better one than I do?
I mean, I'm okay with it because you are getting like Rary's telepathic bond later. And this is something I've seen in design as well. Is like, yeah, if you're not a caster, you need a little bit of a boost. Like later, you're right. Soul knife, absolutely powerful. At third level, that's amazing. This is like a nice add-on to what else you're already getting. But yeah, I can concede the point.
It is nice that it's a bonus action. That's good. So you can kind of do it quickly. And the fact that you can maintain that connection for a very long time is also nice. But I think as soon as you've got access to some of those telepathic connection spells that you can, I think you're just going to be running those a lot.
It's true. So tell me about this Ionic Sorcery.
Sure. When you cast any spell of first level or higher from your Psionic spells feature, you can cast it by expending a spell slot as normal, or by spending a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level. If you cast the spell using sorcery points, it requires no verbal or somatic components, and it requires no material components unless they're consumed by the spell. Unlike the last thing we just did, this I think is super cool. This is, this is how you get around counterspell. This is how you continue to sneak. This is how you are able to not have to worry about basically any of the stuff that a caster does have to worry about either in or out of combat when it comes to verbal, somatic, and material components. Yeah,
I mean, that again, like that counterspell thing. I mean, this is like subtle spell, but better. I mean, you this is unblockable. Silence isn't going to do nothing. And it kind of doubles down that idea that this is psionic energy. Like this is coming from your brain. So that you have this option that you're powerful enough to just cause things to happen is pretty impressive. So yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense. I do have the perfect character. I wrote a short story. Holy crap, 5 years ago. This is the first subclass that fits that character perfectly. Because as Lauren knows, I like to play a character that is either old as D&D itself or was born yesterday. Those are my favorite things to do. Don't like much middle ground. So I delight in both of those extremes. So psychic defenses, this is again at 6th level. Interesting that we get 2 things at 6th level. And already we got something pretty awesome. You gain resistance to psychic damage, and you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. That's fantastic.
And psychic damage is not one of those things that a lot of people have resistance to. So that is really nice to have. And it also completely makes sense.
If you are the horror, like a lot of things aren't necessarily going to hurt you. And a lot of things are probably not going to charm you or frighten you. Like your mind moves in strange directions, if you want to quote Dune and be talking about oh god, I just forgot their names. Spice. They use the spice a lot.
Yeah, who doesn't? Everybody does. It's
everyone's on that spice.
It's fine. It's totally fine. Hey, remember how we were talking about this being a creepy character?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. we have a power called Revelation in Flesh.
I hate that. I hate it. Hate the title.
Revelation in Flesh. You
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes.
Next on stage,
Revelation in Flesh. I mean, it's kind of metal. It's kind of if you're gonna dive deep into the I am hardcore metal aesthetic of the sorcerer with the tentacles and the darkness and stuff, then
yeah,
I mean, this is your album cover right there. This is the name of your 4th album. If you could you can unleash the aberrant truth hidden within yourself. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 or more sorcery points to magically transform your body for 10 minutes. For each sorcery point you spend, you can gain one of the following benefits of your choice, the effect of which lasts until the transformation ends. So I'll say this in advance, like these are all really cool things, but you might end up blowing through your sorcery points super fast, especially later on. You can see any invisible creature within 60 feet of you, provided it isn't behind total cover. Your eyes also turn black or become writhing sensory tendrils for reasons. You gain a flying speed equals your walking speed, and you can hover, which is actually super important. As you fly, your skin glistens with mucus or shines with an otherworldly light.
I love you, D&D design team.
I would like to shine with an otherworldly glistening mucus light. Sure. You gain a swim speed equal to twice your walking speed, and you can breathe underwater. Moreover, gills grow from your neck or fan out from behind your ears. Your fingers become webbed, or you grow writhing cilia that extend through your clothing. I hope you have mending. Your body, along with any equipment you're wearing or carrying, becomes slimy and pliable. You can move through any space as narrow as 1 inch without squeezing. You can spend 5 feet of movement to escape from non-magical restraints or being grappled, which is awesome. But now all your clothing is covered in slime.
You really become ooze. I mean, 1 inch. 1 inch. Like,
and it doesn't go away.
Almost no door that you can't squeeze through.
Yep. But the price you pay.
So wait, you can escape a space as narrow as 1 inch without. So that tells me that you can just become a tentacle almost, really, right? Like if it's 1 inch squared, you might be able to get through a key lock. I mean, like not a modern day key lock, but
yeah,
the key locks in medieval times are a little ridiculous. So, yeah, there's a lot of gross stuff that could happen here, but you can like move through the sewers and snake through stuff. So that's pretty intense.
Yeah. And because it's a bonus action during combat,
God, it's a bonus action.
Yeah, which is actually, I think, important for a bunch of stuff because, like, especially that last one, ignore the slimy and pliable for a moment, but the fact that it's geared towards escaping grapples, restraints, or a place, having your action to then perform the escape.
You're right. You're totally right.
Is actually necessary. So you're not like having to give up 2 turns in order to
totally different ballgame if it's a full action. You're totally right.
Yeah. And some of the other stuff, as I said, like the fact that when you gain a flying speed, you actually do gain a hover speed, which is super important for when you are incapacitated, stunned, unable to move, unable to do any of the stuff that requires flying. Having the hover speed means you don't fall. So it's a lot of this is really smart in how it's written. It's super powerful, but then you're also covered in sensory tendrils.
It is dramatically a powerful sorcerer, I'd say. Just from my glancing of it, I think, I mean, and I say this a lot, it is my favorite sorcerer. Because there's so much utility here, it's really fun. And we're not even done. That was 14th level. That's not even the capstone. So let's get real.
Yeah, talk to us about warping implosions.
Warping implosions, super fun. You can unleash your aberrant power as a space warping anomaly. As an action, you can teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 120 feet of you. Immediately after you disappear, each creature within 30 feet of the space that you left must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 3d10 force damage and is pulled straight towards the space you left, ending in an unoccupied space as close to your former space as possible. Any successful save, that creature takes half damage, and they're not pulled. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you spend 5 more sorcery points to use it again. This is essentially Thunderstep. it's a good let's get out of here kind of card, right?
120 feet is nothing to sneeze at.
120 feet is nothing to sneeze at. Now, this is not a bonus action, but boy, I gotta tell you, if it was, this would have been terrible. And terrible for whoever you're attacking, because if you're bunching everyone together, listen, it's 18th level. I'm assuming there's another caster in the group, or also you can cast subtle spell, right? This is not a spell, so you do this. You cast, quicken spell. You unleash, some terrible AOE, and this you've gathered everyone into a small little ball for you to hit with an AOE and destroy.
Or one of those people that you've gathered into the small little ball also includes your barbarian who's raging.
That might also happen, but
because 3d10 force damage to your 18th level raging barbarian, ow.
Yeah, no, it's not a thing.
But now I have a great sword and everyone is standing close by. So
really nasty if you get up close to some casters, right? Who are probably going to be failing the strength saving throw, right?
Yeah, and if you wanted to spend the sorcery points and do this a couple of times, it's super viable. The fact that it's 120 feet is amazing, and unlike Thunderstep, it doesn't make noise. So if you do want to use this as a way of being tactical or sneaky, you absolutely can. So it's pretty cool. And once again, force damage, not a lot of people can resist force damage. So you're doing a good amount of damage.
It's a great escape. Yeah, it's good that it's a full action. I think it gets a little OP. Though I don't think a lot of things get too OP at 18th level necessarily, because you're already OP.
Yeah.
Once
you reach about 15th level, it's all fun and flavor, and
things have gone already out of hand.
But they're out of hand in like the best way. And
absolutely,
as someone who has both played in games at that high level and DM'd for players at that high level, like the DM always has other things that they can do to make things more difficult. There is an endless supply of monsters and things that you can do. So at this level where you're essentially one step away from gods, why not? Why not be epic level? Why not have stuff that's just ridiculous and fun?
Yeah.
At least you don't get covered in slime here.
Exactly. That's one saving grace. I have about 4 characters that are like what I would call my mains. I don't usually play them on live streams, but one of them is this. Like, this is really fun. It's a very fun sorcerer to play. I highly recommend it. I know it's super oozy and creepy, but it is right up my alley. So it is definitely my kind of thing.
Would you like to hear some questions?
Let's hear some questions about the Aberrant Mind, and let's get some revelations in flesh.
Oh, always, anytime that I can. All right, so I've got some questions here that were submitted from the chat, and while I'm doing these, we'll go ahead and give away the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything in chat. So watch the moderators for information on that. First, from Firm Featherfoot, is it better to focus on weapons or spells with this subclass? I think spells.
Spells, definitely spells. Yeah, this is not a tank.
Yeah, absolutely. Although there is something to be said for some of the movement options that you have, having the ability to do something close, but yeah, I think if you're going for the spellcaster, if you're going for the sorcerer, you want to spells all the time.
Right.
CT Joyce wants to know who wins in a tentacle versus tentacle fight, the Fathomless Warlock or the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer? I don't know who wins. I know the rest of us.
So what we know about the Fathomless Warlock is they do get this kind of advanced version of Everett's Black Tentacles where they won't lose concentration. And they're much stronger at casting it, so that is certainly a thing. They do get all the tentacle spells, and they also have at second level they can just pop up or at first level they can pop up their own tentacle to do bonus action damage, not unlike that. Like very much like spiritual hammer. A spiritual weapon. So I might give it to the Fathomless, honestly, but listen, you're getting Arms of Hadar and everything else here. It's a tight fight. because you could become the tentacle technically if you're taking a look at this. So
I love the idea of these two characters being in the same party and getting their powers from the same creature, just in two different ways. Just like, oh, that octopus that you're getting your powers from. Yeah. I have a story about that. From Arlenor, how creepy is telepathic speech when it says that when it does not say that the creature needs to be willing? Super creepy.
Super creepy.
I've used a version of that. I used the Soul Knife version of that, which is the same way. You can just make the bond. They don't have to accept the call for you to be able to make that bond. So suddenly being able to whisper in their head when they're not expecting it is actually kind of fun.
It is, and it's very spy, like, hey, it's almost like calling someone's cell phone in D&D, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't move. Don't look around. You're being watched.
And unlike a lot of other spells that either require you acquire acceptance or you have to know the creature, as long as you can see them, you can make the connection. So
yeah, and then stay. So you can make that connection possibly, and they don't know it, and not say anything until later.
Is this the telepathic version of Cook and Book? Instead of you make the telepathic connection, but you don't actually do anything, and then you walk away. You walk like a half a mile away, and then you start to do the talking.
I think that's very crafty. Yeah. I think that's the crafty way to do it, because
what's the first thing you do? Yeah, what's the first thing you do when you hear like a strange voice in your head? Everyone's gonna go.
Yeah, you're gonna suspect who's around you. So
yep. But if you make that connection and then you just do away, that's fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Matt wants to know, I have a character idea in mind for this subclass, but I was still considering taking subtle spell for cantrips and non-psychic spellless spells. Would it be worth it?
I think so. I think subtle spell is, it does come up. I'm not gonna lie. I obviously I am a diehard quicken spell person. Especially for your Warlock, and you can get the mad magic feat. I do like to blow up with Eldritch Blast, but Twin Spell is another really great spell as well. I think Subtle Spell is more in tune with the flavor of all of this. So it's great that all of these spells that are in your spell list, the Psionic spell list, are ones that you can cast, without any kind of semantic components or anything else. But, if you want to do that for every spell that you have, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's another tool in your arsenal. And if you're leaning that way, especially because that's the character flavor you're going for, you want to be the character that can be sneaky, or you're really worried about those kind of that kind of counterspell, then I don't think they step on each other's toes. I think they're complementary. I think that's all the questions we have. Yeah, because now it's just a bunch of people talking about octopus. Are they tentacles or slimy or both? Octopus aren't really slimy, as far as I remember. they didn't feel slimy to me. I'm an Oregon Coast kid, so there was a lot of like allowed to pet like basically anything back in the 80s. But octopus are amazing. If you go to the right aquarium, then they'll just crawl right out of the tank and pet you. Yeah, octopus are amazing. Yep. And then they are one of the smartest animals on this entire planet.
Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is available now on D&D Beyond. Purchase before January 5th to unlock the Cauldron dice set, as well as character sheet backdrops, themes and frames.